This is the Real Grand Podcast. Welcome home. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. It is another week on the Real Grand Podcast. And to get us started today, we are spending some time with Miss Lebby Salinas and Terry Drefke. Nice to be with both of you. Thank you so much for making the time. I really appreciate it. We're excited to get to learn from both of you. I know that there's a wealth of knowledge here at the table.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So tell us a little bit about, well, I know that we met at a farmer's market out in Tres Lagos. Mm-hmm. So what were you guys doing out there? What was the business?
Well, we're with Wellbeing Ministries, and I'm actually a certified health coach, and so is Terry. And it's part of our community outreach that we go out in the community and we share about how food affects our health in our world, and we provide access to healthier options. So I had baked goods, and Terry had some spice blends and some meal solutions, and so that's how we met you.
So that's good to hear, because if we're being honest with ourselves as a community, and we're all part of this community, right? We could use a little extra. We could listen to some health advice, right? As a community, we sometimes the hot dogs are great, right? The Mexican food is great, but this is good. It's refreshing to have a conversation about healthier options, right? Whether we choose them or not, sometimes we don't even know that they're there. Mm-hmm. Right? Sometimes we don't even realize that there is a swap that we can make. So thank you for that. I think we're all gonna find this very enjoyable. But before we talk about that a little bit more, tell us about yourselves. So who is Miss Lebby? Who is Miss Terry?
Go ahead, Terry.
Okay. I've spent most of my adult life running the food bank of the Rio Grande Valley. I was CEO there for 28 years, which was an astounding opportunity to help people in the valley. I always like helping people. But through my work there, I grew up a workaholic too. My family were always workaholics. So did I eat healthy? No. Did I eat like I should? No. And it took a toll on my health. And I didn't realize for a long time, like so many of us, that food makes a difference, and stress and rest and all of those things. And so since I left there about the last 5 or 6 years, I've really been on a health journey trying to have a better quality of life. I have some autoimmune issues. I have arthritis now. And so it tends to pile up. And I knew Lebby from a long time ago from our farmer's market at the food bank. But until you're really ready to listen, I don't think you really hear what people are trying to tell you. So I'm excited to be part of the Wellbeing Ministries now, and have the seasoning solutions that we have. And of course, the bakery. I was always into sweets, and I have to be gluten-free now. And so it is really difficult to find good foods to eat. So.
Well, thank you. So that kind of got you started on your journey, huh?
It did.
Wow. Okay. And what about let's hear from Ms. Lebby Salinas. Tell us about yourself.
Well, like I said, I'm known as a food educator because I've been educating people about how food affects our health in our world. And back when I was at the farmers market that Terry had started in Pharr, it was the farmers market in Pharr, Texas. I was teaching about food education. And educating people about the effects that primarily gluten has on. And so I started the baked goods there at her farmer's market. And I remember taking her some baked goods and her going, I don't know about that. And now here we are, so it was good that I was sharing back then because, when she was ready to listen, she knew where to come. So I started sharing about this because I became very, very ill. This impacted my health greatly. About 12 years ago, I was pretty much sent home to get my affairs in order. So I decided to just research, learn whatever I could because the doctors had all given up on me and I was ready not to give up. And so I found out that gluten was primarily the issue that I had. It's an autoimmune and a neurological condition that it has on your body. And kind of like astounded the doctors. I went from dying to thriving, and it just was in no medicine. It was just really the food became the medicine. And so that's how I got coined the Foodjucator. And through that, I've been dedicating the last 12 years through this ministry work that we do. And I'm excited to have this opportunity to share more about it, because even though it seems like I've been saying the same thing over and over and over again, it's just, there's still so many people who have not made the connection of how they feel, what they're going through, and how their diet can impact their health and their overall well-being, their sleep, their mood, their focus, their energy. And once they do get it, it's like, wow, their whole life comes back.
Wow. So this, as we mentioned off mic, this kind of found you, huh? This life, a new way of life, right? Because as a product of the situation, then is what it was.
Absolutely. I grew up on a farm, so we ate off the land. My parents would kill a cow, and that cow would last us the whole year. And grandfather would kill a chicken. We didn't do that often, so we didn't have a lot of that growing up. But when I went to college, I started eating fast food, and then I worked in the mall after college. I ate mall food, and then I worked in fast food for 10 years after that. So a good chunk of 20 years of my life, I ate crap and I felt like crap. And it didn't dawn on me that, when I grew up, I didn't have these issues because we ate real food. And when I left home, I started eating poorly. So I was in the fast food industry. So I always tease everybody that now I'm on my fast food redemption. And now I teach to eat slow food at the farmer's market, and food that we call that slow food. So, that's basically how it chose us. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting how that works, right? Because it's true. I mean, life is moving fast, right? Especially like in certain portions of life, whether it's like college or starting business, and you don't really have time to think about what you're going to eat. The fastest thing is the drive-through. But it's amazing what an impact food has on us, right? I mean, sometimes we forget that food is fuel. At the end of the day, and we pay more attention to how we treat our cars than how we treat our own bodies.
True.
But I guess, I mean, it's true. And really, as a society, we're just starting to figure this out, right? That what we put in our bodies is going to affect the way that we perform. So this conversation is important because it's not just for people that are dealing with health issues. It's a more efficient way of living, right? You're happier, you sleep better. So, and one of the ways that, the way that we found you was at the farmer's market. And I know you mentioned that part of your well-being ministry outreach is you founded the home bakers market community. Tell us about that. What is that all about?
Sure. As I started to learn more about, health and food and access to real food, I got real involved with wanting to know more about food policies and farmers markets. So I went up to a food policy conference in San Antonio, and they passed this law that it's called the Texas Cottage Food Law. And they announced that home bakers could now sell at farmers markets. And everybody at the conference, who were farmers were going, oh, great. Now we're going to have a bunch of bakers at the market. But I saw that as, wow, that's a great opportunity to bake what I call specialty bakers, to provide access to healthier baked options like gluten-free, vegan, diabetic-friendly, paleo options, keto. And so I started a group about 8 years ago and gathered home bakers, educated on them how to start their own home bakery, and then told them if they wanted to be part of this group, they just needed to have inclusion and to offer something for all the different special dietary needs. And so that's how we got started. And so a lot of the bakers have moved on to being larger bakers, doing big wedding cakes for thousands of dollars for, that are vegan or gluten-free. And so that's how I got started with that. So we still provide access. You go to a community event and there's not something for everyone. It's usually there's somebody like myself, say gluten-free. There weren't really options. So we wanted people to go to a farmer's market and to be able to get something that was a special dietary need. And so that's what we do. That's what we bake those things for people so that we offer samples like we offered you guys so that people can actually taste. And a lot of times I'll say what it is, like banana bread, and they'll go, oh, and they eat it. And I go, that was gluten-free. I tell them afterwards.
After
Because
the fact.
usually, and they'll go, oh, that was so good. And then I tell them that's gluten-free and their face is like, what? So
You fed me that?
you fed me that? But then they're like, wow, that tasted great. They didn't even miss the flour, or like the banana bread we gave you guys. It didn't have any even processed sugar. It had either honey in it or coconut sugar. It had healthier alternatives. So, that's what we were doing when we met you. Yeah.
So it's done pretty good then. This whole home bakers idea. It's the community's taking it pretty well. It's
Yes, and we do
good.
have several, bakers that still got started when we got started, and several new ones. And basically, we just wanted the home bakers, that to be kind of like known and not just but respected as a profession, because there's laws that you have to stay within. There are certain things we can bake from home and not bake from home to keep for food safety. So we started that group to educate them on what the laws were and how to get set up, and we couldn't have enough home bakers to help feed the people that have these special dietary needs now. Back then, 8 years ago, people didn't realize as much as they do now that, oh wow, me too, like Terry, I got to be gluten-free too.
Were you guys already baking when this started, or like did you start baking when this law passed?
I've always been a baker since I was a kid. I never asked for toys for Christmas. I would be cookie cutters, mixers.
Oh, really?
I've always been a baker. So when I was told it was the gluten, the wheat, I mean, it was devastating. I was depressed, literally, because it was like my life. You'd always come to my house and I had something under the, the little dome.
That's who you were.
Yeah, I people knew me for baking. It was like I loved baking, so I had to learn how to bake differently. And of course, I went to the internet and found all these recipes, and I made them, and they tasted horrible. And it was just like they looked pretty in the picture, but it was like I don't think they really tested these recipes that
I've
were
been there
on.
too.
Yeah, yep, you've been there too. So, and then I was sensitive to so many different foods. I just couldn't do, like, for about 7 years, I couldn't do any rice, so I couldn't do the rice blends. So, I had to find how to bake things for my food is sensitive. So I bake for special occasions for people. They usually call me to do their birthday cakes, or I've done some wedding cakes and groom's cakes and things. And because people need to have a safe alternative and to be able to celebrate, a special occasion. So I'll bake those type of things for people when it's their birthdays, anniversaries. And how they find me is they learn about it at the market. And if I can't do it, I have a list of other bakers that I refer them to and say, well, I can't do it, but try this home baker, that I can trust. Her kitchen is safe. Yeah.
Was it hard to make some of these recipes taste good with like the healthier swaps?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of mess ups and went through a lot. And I didn't realize how many different types of flours I had until this past weekend. I hired somebody to help me clean out my pantry. And he goes, wow, you have like every type of flour. And that's, that was the, because you get somebody and they'll call you and they'll say, oh, can you bake me a cake that is, doesn't have this or this or this or that. And so it's like, oh, I have to alter recipes sometimes to meet different dietary needs for people. And it's a challenge sometimes, but I like it.
So you're a true specialty baker.
I was a home economics major.
Oh, okay.
So, I've always...
You got the background.
I've got the background and the food science behind it. And baking is a science. You have to be very exact. All it takes is one little, especially with, gluten-free, it's not... they'll have those cup for cup flour mixes. It doesn't work that way. You can use the same recipe, but a different cup for cup. Back then we didn't have that. We had to make our own blends, but now they have these cup for cups. And I thought, oh, the answer's done. No, it doesn't work that way. They don't work the same with every recipe. Some work better on bread. Some work better on cakes. Some work better on cookies. So it's really trial and error. But
Wow.
but it's gotten a lot better than it was when I first got started, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. And it's awesome how how this whole outreach has grown, because I know that you were mentioning that, I mean, for one thing, you started this home bakers program, but you also do like classes and you help people learn how to, and what's the mission with the cooking classes? Is that teaching us how to cook healthier food or food that we can tolerate, or what's the idea behind the cooking classes?
I'll let Terry say that.
That's it exactly, because we got catalogs, and I got them from Lebby before, and I was like, yeah, it's all pretty and all that, but until you actually come to a class and get a chance to help prepare the food and then eat it and see how easy it is. This company that we work with has made it so simple. You can make a meal in 15 to 20 minutes. I'm not a home ec background. Lebby is. And so I want in and out of the kitchen as quickly as I can, but we have health issues, so we need to find foods. And if you start looking at ingredients at the grocery store, oh my gosh, there's hardly anything. They're getting a little bit better, but there's hardly anything. You spend so much time looking. This company has real clean food. All of the bad additives are not there. You can trust it to be gluten-free. And Lebby is the one that figured this out. And until she actually got family or friends to come in and try it and see how easy it is, they weren't really sold on it. They bought the stuff, but then they never used it, which is not helpful to any of us. So
That happens all the time, right? Even for us, like, I'm gonna do something with this, and it ends up catching dust in the pantry. So that's how it started then. Has it grown? Have you been able to reach people? You've had a lot of classes where people actually get to learn and take those new skills home with them.
absolutely, and I would say 90% or more of the people that come actually have some kind of health issue, which we didn't know until they came to the class, and we make some adjustments if they can't eat certain things. But they are amazed. And most of the time, they didn't realize the food was what was causing the problems. So it's definitely an opportunity for us to help them move forward. A lot of times we have teenagers or even 10 or 12-year-old kids, and they help mom and dad with cooking. I know when I grew up, back in the day, I was called a latchkey kid because both my parents worked, and I was the girl with three brothers, and so I'm the one that gets to cook. And so these kids they're fascinated. A lot of them are homeschoolers too, and so they're really smart and really quick. Yep.
And what kind of things are you cooking? What's on these menus?
Well, we start off with familiar things. We always say, when we just advertise it as a cooking class. We've started off advertising it as a healthy cooking class, and we had like one or two people show up.
Because that's boring, right?
Yeah. So when we started as a cooking class, they showed up, and then we tell them, okay, this is actually a healthy cooking class. And
By the way.
and then, we say, well, one thing, when we talk about eating healthy, it's like, well, I don't want to give up my tacos.
Oh, yeah. We're in the valley here.
So we usually do a healthier taco first, so that basically we just take common foods that we typically eat that can cause some issues with us and just make them healthier for them. So we'll do a healthy taco. We'll do with cauliflower, gluten-free tortilla, the way we prepare the chicken and the seasoning and everything is healthier blends. And so we use the spices. The reason I started with the spice line is, I used to teach cooking classes for the food education classes, and people would come and they would be like, oh, how'd you do this? Or how'd you do that? And then I realized, oh, wow, they don't even know what spices are, much less how to blend them. And so I was going to start my own little spice blend company, I thought. So as I was researching online, I found this company and I thought, wow, this lady got it all figured out. She's been doing this like 25 years. So I called the company. I said, I'd like to offer your spice blends in my community. They said, sure. Okay, well, where do you live? And I said, in Texas. And they're like, oh, we're not in the U.S. We're only in Canada.
Oh.
So I had to wait 2.5 years until they actually came into the U.S. So I was one of the very first ones to bring the line down here. And so that was exciting. But then COVID hit, And when COVID hit, the company ran out of I'd say 80% of their stuff.
Oh,
And it
wow.
took a while. So I was really hoarding hoarding all the spices and the meal solutions during COVID because I was trying to feed my own family quickly and affordably. And only in the last, I guess about the last year and a half, they've caught up now. And so we started doing the cooking classes now over a year now. And it's worked really well. People are amazed at how quick, how easy, how they still can have their traditional, tacos and things that they have, but just we do a burger too, a healthier burger, fajita tacos. We do traditional things, but healthier versions. And it's worked out great. Yes, it's been a really good, and they get to taste the food, and they get a meal too as well, when they come.
And this is not specific to people with certain conditions, right? It's just healthier in general.
Healthier in general. But we have found that when they show up and we start talking and we share a little bit of our story, they're like, oh, wow, I wonder if that's my issue, or, oh, I have that too, or I'm dealing with that too. And, then I actually I'm a gluten-free practitioner, so I actually do testings for people. So some of them then go on to the next step and they're ready to okay, I want to test myself, or I want to see what my gut permeability test is, because I run all those tests and I get to tell them or show them what their food sensitivities are so that they can dig a little bit deeper and kind of clean up what they're eating a little bit better by, I always say, you don't guess, but test. And so then, we find the ones that want to be able to test better without like Terry says, you can tell them, I can see them on the go, I know what their issue is, but they're not ready to listen, and they're not, but the ones that are, when they are, we're there for them, and we're there to guide them, to the next step, and how to start healing their gut, and how to, clean up their diet, and then teach them there's alternatives, and we provide those, because everything that we have on the line is all gluten-free, and everything can be adapted to any diet lifestyle. It could be, you could use it for a plant-based diet, or if you're a meat eater, the recipes can all be altered really, really easily.
Nice.
Yep.
And those whole food sensitivities, that's a tricky one, right, man? Because, they can change.
That's right.
And it's there's especially in our culture, the things that we eat, there's so many foods that we have as in our Hispanic culture that are big on that common food sensitivity list. So I can imagine. So those tacos, they do pretty well though. People are happy with them.
Yes, in fact, we get some say, "This is the best taco I've ever had."
Oh yeah.
And they love it, and so we teach them we'll put what we call cheese on it, but it's not cheese. It's just shredded carrots that looks like cheese.
Yeah.
And so I tell the kids, we're going to sprinkle some cheese. And they look at me like, that's carrots. And I go, they're cheesy carrots. And then they eat them. And their moms are like, wow, they ate carrots, they hadn't ever eaten a carrot before. So
you have children at these classes.
Yes, we have kids too as well. Absolutely.
And they're cooking up their tacos.
Yep. And in fact, I have some kids that their moms call me and they send me pictures and they go, my child is cooking, and I get home and dinner's done,
Wow.
And they're 14, 15-year-olds, and they're excited to make the food, and they're excited to prepare the food for dinner. And it gives them self-confidence too as well. So the kids are a lot sharper and more aware, I guess, because social media, and they're realizing more and more. And they're not wanting to have, color dyes, and they're getting, I say, more food-educated, and they're learning. So yeah.
Okay, so at this point, everybody's wondering, how do we find you? How do all the moms out there find you to get their kids to class?
Well, we do some different community outreach programs, and right now it's just all word of mouth. They meet us at the market. We don't want to push this on anybody. We're not trying to tell people how to eat, what to eat. We're just there for the people that are ready and want to do something.
Yeah, because it has to come from us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we usually find them at, places, people who go to the farmers markets are trying to eat healthier, be healthier. We have another event called Women, Wellness, and Wine that we meet once a month. And we have wellness topics. And so from there, we also find people that want to take things to another level, whether it's with their mind, their body, their spirit. So we find them there. And we used to do Food-Education movie series at CNL Ray, and we're going to get back to that, but we had to stop with COVID. So we have community films that we offer that are free to the community, and people come in and they watch the movies, like, different movies from Food Matters, Forks Over Knives,
Yeah.
all the different food films. And we did that for 10 years every month. So we showed a lot of different films over the 10 years and reached, I think we estimated about probably 16 to 18,000 people during that time frame
Wow.
that came to the movies. Yeah. But still, there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, there is. Well, with that in mind, I'm gonna just circle back to the whole movie thing. Do you guys have any recommendations for movie? Let's say for your average, mother, father. Like I said, life is fast, right? We don't have time to cook. Any movie, I mean, that's like minimal effort, right? Watching a movie. Is there anyone that you recommend, just in general, for like health consciousness, or kind of like opening our eyes, being more health conscious to the world of food around us?
I would say here there's a film that was actually filmed here called Diabetesville. And I think that would be a good film for people from our area to see, because it was actually filmed and it's about the Rio Grande Valley. And the statistics for diabetes is extremely high, especially for, the young adults and children. And I think that would be a great one. In fact, we're going to work on screening that again in November, because November is diabetes month.
Okay.
And so I would recommend that one. And Diabetesville, filmed here in the Rio Grande Valley by a filmmaker from San Antonio, came down. And that it's a really great film, and it just really opens up your eyes to like, wow, we can do so much more as a community, to help that situation, to help prevent that.
I'm gonna look for that one, especially because it was filmed here, right? So maybe you'll find like Tio Lupe in the background or something.
You're gonna see people from the area, and it was primarily filmed mostly in the Brownsville area.
Okay.
But you'll see, they interview all different people in there, and that's a really good one, because I think people can associate that because it was filmed here in our area.
Nice. So you're doing the whole wellness outreach. You're doing the home bakers. Why do you guys love what you're doing? What do you love about it?
Well, for me, this is my give back. I'm grateful to be alive, because I was told I wouldn't be, and I'm still here today. And then I was even told most people who get to the level that I was at, usually even on a gluten-free diet still is not enough, because the damage that's been done within our system, usually they say we get 10 more years, and I've been here 12. So I'm grateful for that. And I believe that God provided the answers to me, and this is my mission, just to share this, so that if it can help someone's quality of life to be better, this is just my ministry work of what I've decided to do for the rest of my life.
That's beautiful. Anything you'd like to add?
Mine is similar. I feel that God's called me to do this too. Because as you mentioned earlier, there's so much information out there, but some of it's misinformation. Like one diet's better than another. Well, we're all individuals, and really you have to find what's best for you. And our medical world hasn't caught up with this. Some of them are getting better about it, but I just feel like God said, yeah, this is, and I could have said no.
That's true.
Because I have a lot of other interests too, but I can see the difference it's made for myself and my family and other people. So
yeah, so even just purely anecdotally, you've seen a big difference making those dietary changes?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
And, Terry used to run the food bank, and I was starting what I call the nutrition bank. And that's where we provide like basic nutrition for people that are in need. So it's just by God's design. He's just kind of put us together.
Come together.
And, just to grow the ministry and to grow the work and to spread this word, to people, and to be there for people when they're ready. And because you need support when you're making these changes, because you can be the weird one in the family eating the weird food, which is really the real food. But when you're whole food. But during that time, you're
the oddball.
And you can easily just go, well, go the other way. And, so people need support while they're going through this. It's no different than when you get off of like drugs and alcohol that you're addicted to. People are addicted to these foods that are doing them harm. And they just literally, their bodies are physically addicted. So when you get off these, you go through some withdrawals and you go through things, and being there for somebody to explain to them, this is what's happening. This is what you're going through, especially when we do like a yeast-free way of eating and their body's going through, the withdrawals of sugar and everything. So we just want to be there for people and to help them know that they're not alone, and that, and that there's hope and they can get better, and food can be like medicine.
Yeah, and it is. And that's such a vulnerable but positive point in someone's life, right? When they're making those changes. And I work in healthcare, so I've seen, the patients that just had to make those dietary changes. And I've literally seen people having like ugly headaches from not having Coke, like in 4 days. I kid you not, like, or candy, like people start shaking. Like it literally is addicting. So it's a vulnerable time in people's lives. So thank you for that. And Miss Terry, thank you for your work with the food bank, by the way, because I think I can speak for most of us in the community. There's times when we have really needed the resources. That food bank is essential to a lot of people. You might need it for a week, you might need it for a year.
Right.
And it's serving all of us. So thank you for that. I know so many people that have utilized those resources. I didn't even know about it for a long time. You could just sign up and like get food. So thank you for that.
Well, and then when she was there, she also started the gardens.
Did you start that?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay, in the back?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that Lowe's would help out like in maintaining them. So you started that whole initiative with the gardens.
Yeah.
Okay. How did that idea come to be?
We had so much room back there, and the food bank handles tons of produce, fresh produce, because we grow so much here, so much coming from Mexico. So it wasn't so much to get more produce. It was an outreach for families to have a place to grow food and to teach them how to grow food for themselves. And then they could sell it in the farmer's market or whatever they wanted to do with it. So just to help people be healthier.
That was a brilliant idea. And utilization of space too, right?
Yes.
You said you had the space there.
Yes, and then we went into chickens. So we were talking about chickens earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Because one of our pastors that had chickens at his home, he decided to get out of the chicken business. And so we ended up with like 200 chickens.
You inherited them then.
Yes.
The food bank inherited 200 chickens.
Yes. And
live ones.
I love it.
Live ones. And that's really not part of the legalese of a food bank.
Oh, true.
And the city of FAR, you can only have so many chickens. So we had to step through several things. But, there's fresh eggs and yeah.
Wow. So then the food bank has chickens right now, like laying eggs? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes, they do. I don't know how many at the moment.
So that was like, would you say that was like a good headache when they got to
It was, yeah. My
like, what am I
operations
going to do?
my operations director was not happy about it. But
Okay, well, that's funny because, now you can pass, those are the chickens that I had to figure out what to do with them.
Yes.
But thank you for that work. So how long did you mention you were CEO for 20-something years?
28 years, yes.
28 years, wow. That must have been a beautiful experience.
It was, yes.
Wow. And now you're doing this, right? So from one venture to the next.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we can find you guys. You mentioned you do markets regularly?
Yes. We do about 6 months out of the year, we do the Tres Lagos. Primarily because I'm a seasonal baker and I try to honor local food. So we do grapefruit pies during grapefruit season.
My wife loved them, by the way.
Yes, and we'll do them gluten-free and vegan options, which is a little different.
Okay.
And then we do a market Mid-Valley once a month, which is at the Donna Farmers Market. And those are the only two markets right now that we're participating for community outreach. And then, but if they need to reach us, we do have a number, I guess, 956-707-0702. They can text that number if they need to, want to get on a text list to receive other information of other community events that we're involved with. But
Nice.
So we're both on Facebook.
And we're both on Facebook
True.
and
Instagram.
Yeah,
You can find us
Instagram. Yeah.
there.
So we can find you. I mean, if anyone out there wants to trick their dad into eating like healthier bread or
Yes,
something,
Yes. And
but tell him after the fact.
after the
After
fact,
the
yes,
fact,
yeah.
yes.
And
Watch
so,
him eat it first.
yeah, and we're working on our website and all that to
Ooh, okay.
expand the ministry. So we'll have that up soon. We just need more volunteers.
Okay, well, we put
More
that out
people.
there.
Yeah, so that really helps. And this helps get the word out.
Yeah,
Get
definitely.
more people
Yeah.
involved.
Okay, well, we heard it. If you want to try some, and actually, I think everyone should try the grapefruit pie because I mean that's a local thing too. I mean,
That's a
you know,
tradition.
shout out to Mission, right? The grapefruit,
Yeah.
the whole citrus. I mean, it's the whole valley.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
valley
right.
tradition. So
Honor that.
if you want to try it, you got to catch them at. We found them at Tres Lagos Market. I guess they're in the Mid Valley also. So we got to, and like I said, get some, show it to, make your uncle taste it without knowing. Tell him after the fact, and watch them regret the 5 years that they were like, "What, gluten free? Like, what is that? Yeah, no sugar added." But thank you guys for spending some time with us. I have one more question for you that we love to ask our guests. What do you love about the Rio Grande Valley?
I think the people. Yeah, the valley, from my work at the food bank, the valley is like no other place. You know, and the valley is so far removed from the rest of Texas, like with emergencies and things like that. The valley really pulls together and takes care of its people.
Very true, because we only have each other.
Yeah.
I'd say the same thing. Our community, it's like, we're so close, Far, Mission, McAllen, Edinburgh, San Juan. It just, it's just continual. And I've never looked at it like we're, us or them, but we're one big, large community, the RGV. And so I love the name of your podcast because it just puts a big star on us. And I think it's great what you're doing to highlight unique and informational things here in the RGV. So thank you for this.
Well, there you go. The Valley has just made a couple of new friends in Miss Lebby Salinas and Terry Drefke. Thank you so much for your work. It's we can't wait for everyone to get to know the both of you, two beautiful personalities. And we will see you at the markets, and we'll see you throughout the community.
Awesome.
You made some
Thank
new friends
you.
in the Valley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. Have a good day. Have a good morning. Have a good night. Say no to drugs, and have a good day. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Don't forget to follow the show on social media for updates on episodes, interactive content, and more opportunities to grow together. We'll see you again next week on your podcast, the Rio Grande Podcast. Stay safe. Take care.